Don't get me wrong, I'm really happy for Yusei Kikuchi and everything, but like, it cost us Lance. Then it cost us everything. Hi, I'm Weston. I love talking about the Astros, and I'm here to talk about the Astros and Rays series, which took place over the weekend, which saw the Astros lose the series 2-1 after taking the first game in a dominating pitching performance, getting destroyed in the second game, and then losing the third game 1-0, again behind a dominating pitching performance. The word around the Astros this weekend has to be frustrating because it was a very winnable series against an opponent that sold hard at the deadline, which is frustrating. It was a very, very, very winnable Game 3 where you could have won the series, but didn't because you couldn't score a run, which is incredibly frustrating. It's a really solid pitcher, or a young pitcher, giving you a marvelous outing, the best outing of his career in Spencer Arrighetti. And 12 Ks, man, in 6 innings, and you lose it 1-0, which is frustrating. And of course, the Lance news, which is just, it has to be a different video. It has to be its own thing because my thoughts are too disjointed and all-encompassing to make its way into this. And I don't want to make it a separate video because there's not a lot of news for it, but it just, with everything and the sad boy vibes that it's going to be, I think it just has to be. So that'll be separate. We get to Game 1, which was a very exciting 3-2 win. Yusei Kikuchi pitches a great game. Doesn't start like that. Gives up a 2-run home run in his first inning. Like, out of the gate, the entire fan base blows up because, see, we told you. 1 inning's all I need to see. I can't totally argue it because it was a bad first inning. The 2-run shot looks very not great. After that moment, Yusei Kikuchi pitched one of the best games I've seen out of him. It was phenomenal. 11 strikeouts, only gives up 3 walks. Again, perfect after that second inning. He dominated. He looked fantastic. His stuff plays very well, and I said that with the trade. I never had the issue with Kikuchi. I liked him as a player, and even with what the Astros ended up giving up, I don't think it's as bad as a lot of people do. I could be very, very incorrect with that assessment. I've been very, very wrong a lot of times on this channel, and I don't feel like counting them all up. But even then, I was like, that's fine. A lot of people said, it's not the fact that we got Kikuchi, it's the fact of all that we gave up. And I'm like, yeah, but really, did they? You then hand the game over to what I always kind of had the hope would be an incredibly solid pen, and now it's finally starting to look like they actually know what they're doing. You give it 1 whole out of Taylor Scott, whoopity-doo. Then you give it to Brian Abreu, who gets through an inning without a run. You give it to Presley, who gets through a scoreless inning, and Hader, who gets through a scoreless inning. Very nice job out of the pitching. Obviously, you have a couple of big RBIs from the offense. You had Pena with a double earlier in the game. The big one, obviously, is the go-ahead/game-winning RBI double for Yainer Diaz, who has blossomed this season into everything we'd hoped he would be. And on one hand, I am very irritated that he didn't start more last season, and on the other hand, I don't know, it felt like such a cop-out by Dusty Baker saying, you'll thank me later, because then either A, like, he won either way with that, because either A, Yainer would have stunk, and then Dusty could have been like, yeah, see, that's why I didn't want to start him, or this is the reality where now Yainer is one of the top hitting catchers in the sport of baseball, and Dusty, despite the fact that he benched him for the majority of games, can be like, told ya. Then you go to Game 2. The Astros actually had a lead in Game 2. That's wild to think about, by the way. John Singleton gets a home run. Another one for him, which is pretty nice. He might hit 10. He's easily going to crack double digits this year, which is super cool for John Singleton. I've said it from the very beginning. I am totally here for the redemption arc of John Singleton. And, like, he's not an all-star or anything, but, you know, he's just carving out a solid little performance at first base. He's probably the best first baseman they've had since 2021. Like, this is probably the best season they've got from a first baseman since 2021, which is, you know, certainly a sentence to say out loud when you really think about everything everything that goes into that sentence. That kind of hurts my soul, I'm not going to lie to you. Ronald Blanco was fine. He picks up 7 strikeouts in 5 innings of work, pardon me. Gives up a pair of runs. The bullpen kind of implodes. Taylor Scott gives up a pair of runs in his inning. Caleb Ferguson, that took too many tries, goes for a pair of innings and then ends up giving 2 more up in the 9th. It never really felt like they were particularly close in that game, even when they had the lead. They got wiped off the face of the earth in basically every statistic. It's kind of funny to look at it because in total bases, the Rays had 24 and the Astros had 9, which is just insane. They got out hit 13-5. It was genuinely a just blowout from the Rays. And then you go into yesterday's game where Arrighetti, genuinely, one of the better games from an Astros starter this season. He was fantastic. Genuinely fantastic. 12 strikeouts on the day for him, dude. And he goes 6 innings of one-run ball. And it just doesn't matter. The offense can't do anything. They only get out hit 6-3. But, like, that's somehow worse to me that you lost to a team that had 9 total bases, 1 run, and 6 hits on the day. It was frustrating. Again, the reason the offense struggling bothers me but doesn't concern me, they're not a bad offense, and we know they're not a bad offense. We know who they have, and it's not a concern to me. A lot of people were freaking out with it of, oh my god, see, this is what happens when you don't go get a bat at the deadline. They had no one else to move. I have confidence that they'll be fine offensively. I'm very interested to see Pedro Leon continue to play. Side note, I don't like gatekeeping, but then I saw him wearing number 4, and I just, in my soul, said no. No. And again, I'm going to make a video immediately following this that talks about the Lance McCullers thing, and it's going to be very disconjointed and just sort of a heartthrob from my perspective. So be ready for that. But that is the exclamation point on what's just a frustrating weekend where, so again, not terrible, but oh so unbelievably frustrating. Because you only end up scoring 4 runs over the series, which is a travesty. The offense is going to be fine, but it's frustrating. You have a bunch of really solid outings, man. You had 3 good games out of your starting pitchers, and you end up dropping a pair of them, which is just depressing. And because you can't beat a team, again, the Rays aren't bad, and there was that narrative of like, oh, you lost to the seller at the deadline. Listen, I know this is not exact science. The Rays just simply cannot be bad. They can be average. They can be a little hair above average. They can be a little hair below average. They could sell everyone and start with a full AAA team tomorrow, and they'd probably still end up being in the hunt till like game 162. Because that's just what the Rays do as an organization. They are magic. And I know, but they are magic, and that doesn't surprise me. So you're still in a dead heat with the Rays for the wild card. 5 games back now, by the way, which is so much fun. And a game behind of the division lead. Which, with that being said, really the way in for the Astros is going to be with that division. Their chance of winning the wild card or getting one is not great. Speaking of divisional things, you get ready to kick off a 9-game road trip, starting with 3 games against the Texas Rangers at Houston North. First game is going to be tonight at 8:10 Eastern, and I will be here after the series to discuss it. As for right now, though, that is all I have to say. Again, probably immediately following this, there's going to be a Lance McCullers video, so get ready for that. It's going to be depressing, but it has to be done. But as for right now, that's all I have. If you enjoyed the video, please consider to like and subscribe. Thank you all so very much for watching. I hope you all have an absolutely fantastic day, and as always, go Astros.